still getting a lot of questions sent in too, like this one from Robbie. Said, hey Dan, why are construction workers exempt from the stay-at-home order? I am in construction and think it's a huge mistake. The company I work for has opted to close. I agree, some construction work, like for house fires and floods, is essential, but very, very little. So construction work is allowed under Oregon's stay-at-home order, but not Washington's. I know our two states usually kind of stay pretty much in line with each other through stuff like this, but not everything. We asked Governor Brown's office about this, and they say construction sites can stay open since they're able to implement strict social distancing measures. They also have to designate an employee to enforce these policies. That's part of the executive order, and if they don't do this, they will be closed. The other thing we're getting a lot of questions about, even some complaints really, is golf courses being open. Penny emailed me and said, hey Dan, the Oregon executive order does not clarify golf courses. They are crowded, and I have observed not social distancing. So same deal as construction, Penny. Golf courses can stay open in Oregon, but not in Washington. They're considered a business in Oregon that's able to enforce that social distancing, so they don't have to close. Some golf courses are going a step further. Rose City Golf Course, for instance, in northeast Portland, has a big list of changes that they're making. They put it on their website. Players have to stay 6 feet apart from each other, so that's one thing. But they also aren't letting people rent golf clubs. Golf carts are being limited to one person at a time. You also have to book tee time online or over the phone.